I also sent you, I don't know if you can put it up or if we even need to, but Instagram and Facebook have been censoring the meme, the Stalin meme that's going around,
Which
where
Stalin meme?
it's
Oh, that one. Yeah,
I
yeah,
sent it to you on Discord. Yeah.
yeah.
Where Stalin, it's just a picture of Stalin, and it says, it's not who votes that counts. It's who
Who counts
counts
the
the
votes?
votes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so Instagram gave me a warning. I got a strike on Instagram or whatever they call it there. And the warning itself was hilarious because they told me they put a little warning now on my post so everyone can see it that this post contains fake news and it's been independently fact checked. It's a meme. It's a meme with a quote
With Stalin.
from Stalin. Yeah, with Stalin in it. And they basically said, if you go and read it, it says Stalin wasn't talking about this current general election in America. Stalin was talking about communist elections. It's like, oh,
fake news. Stalin
really?
is dead.
Fake news. Stalin's dead, guys.
Stalin's actually
Wow,
dead. Kerry's
thanks.
trying to convince you that he's alive.
Wow, thank you. And then they had a little warning, like the mafia at the bottom. It says, you may want to delete this post because people who share fake news like you, people like you get, they didn't use the word shadow ban, but they described what shadow banning is. They said, your posts are going to be down throttled and they're not going to show up in people's feeds as much if you continue to do this. And by the way, deleting the post won't affect that anyway, but you should delete it. It's like, we're going to shadow ban you, but deleting the post doesn't affect your shadow banning, but you should self-censor anyway. You should be very careful going forward. I'm like, wow, you know who would do this? Stalin would do this. Stalin. Yeah. Wow.
We're not saying it's illegal
to
vote for anyone other than Stalin, but you really should think about voting for Stalin.
Right. So, yeah, Elizabeth says Instagram cracks their knuckles. Yeah. So then I shared the warning and stuff just to let people see this happening, right? And it wasn't just me. I saw other people with the Stalin meme getting strikes and getting censored. And I shared it on Facebook and Instagram, just said, hey, guess what, guys? Instagram just fact checked this Stalin meme and gave me a warning. And by posting, just by telling people what happened and showing them the screenshot, I got a second warning. Hey, you've shared fake news again. Yeah, you shared fake news again. Be very careful. We are going to start shadow banning you. You may want to delete this post also. And on Facebook, they did the same. They did the same. Fake news. And everyone who shared it got the little fake news thing there. Hey, Stalin was talking about communist elections, guys. This is fake news. Oh, really? Okay. Yeah, we live
it's
in
funny that it's the Marxists
world.
Telling you to not worry. That was just under communism. Like,
right. Don't worry. Yeah. But it's their behavior cracks me up because they're sitting here saying, don't make comparisons to today and to what Stalin was talking about. Certainly don't make those comparisons when we're about to shadow ban you and try to restrict your speech, just like Stalin would do. Don't make that comparison. But, we're about to behave just like the person we're saying you can't talk about. But Stalin's not the only person I've been thinking about recently. I was thinking about Hitler because
wow,
when
I
asked
got some dark thoughts.
Yeah.
Just out of context, that was funny. I haven't just been thinking about Stalin recently. Also Hitler.
Yeah. Also Hitler.
What does Tiger think about this?
Tiger is really upset. So when I asked you about your gut for the election, and thank you for sharing your gut here, because my gut says, and I'm not making any, I'm not pointing to any, I'm asking, what does your elephant think? My elephant says this is batshit baloney bananas. Yes. That we're expected to believe that Biden got more votes than President Obama got during his landslide victory. And to your point, Carter, about there being no enthusiasm for Biden, I went to a Stop the Steal rally a couple days ago, my friend, and the Trump people were out in full force at the rally, and they had all the over the top, flags and stickers, and they had signs, and it was Trump stuff everywhere, hats and clothing. And there were people driving by with their trucks, had decals on them. And they had stickers of Trump riding in the back seat of their truck, and they're flying big flags. There's a guy on roller skates who kept going back and forth like a parade with huge American flag and Trump stuff everywhere. about maybe a fourth or 2/3 of the crowd were Biden people, and they were pretty much stayed in one area. They didn't have any signs, and they were also it was like a parade route around the Capitol. They were also in the quote unquote parade, and they were coming by in Jeeps with girls hanging out the top like they're at spring break, just screaming F you and doing the bird at all the Trump people. But they didn't have any Biden stuff. There's no Biden decals. There's no Biden signs. I saw like 2 Biden signs and a couple of handmade signs, but there was nothing because they never had that stuff. They never had the stickers and the flags and the decals and the clothing and the hats. I didn't see any hats or clothing.
I don't even remember. What's Biden's campaign slogan?
I don't even know. Was it no malarkey?
I thought so, but I think they changed it.
But nobody knows. There was no enthusiasm. There were no signs. Like, that's your whole point. Back when Clinton was running, there were signs everywhere in Austin. There were barely any for Biden. I saw a few. Most of them were like, well, one of the stickers I saw was like, gotta get behind Biden, which sounds like, I guess I gotta do this, gotta get behind him, gotta get behind this guy I don't really like. Like, they didn't have any enthusiasm. So I just don't believe, and you and I know, just again, our gut going into it, my gut going into it was, if everything, and I said this before the election, if everything were fair, I think Trump would win in with a greater margin than he did last time, because I know so many liberals and progressives who are voting for him. And I think the enthusiasm, my gut is telling me the enthusiasm is there for him. And what did he do? He did what we said he was going to do. He got more votes than Obama did, if you believe his count. He got more votes than Obama's landslide. He doubled his support among Black women. He significantly increased his support among Black men, among the Latino voting. He went dramatically up. I think he doubled or tripled his LGBT support. All these so-called marginalized communities that they've been telling us for 4 years, we need to be so afraid of him. We need to be so afraid. A lot of those people in those communities said that's BS and woke up and went out and voted for him. People who did not vote for him the time before. We saw that support double and triple in some cases in these marginalized groups. And there's no way. And my gut before the election also said, but I remember you and I said this, but I think the fix is in. Yeah. And so my gut tells me, yeah, the fix is in. We went to bed on election night saying, okay, like somebody I follow was like, okay, well, they'll have to manufacture almost 1 million votes in Pennsylvania. Is that even possible to manufacture 1 million votes in Pennsylvania? Because Biden was 700,000 behind.
Yeah, he was very far behind.
And I went to bed thinking, yeah, it is possible. It is possible to tell a lie that big, because here's why. I just want to read this quote. Can I share my screen with you? Let's see.
By the way, people are saying his slogan was actually "Build Back Better," which I think is horrible, but okay. Who am I?
Okay.
No malarkey's better.
Okay. See if you can see this. Can you see that?
Oh, wait. Look at this. Hold on. Maybe. Let's see. I think I can do this. There. Hold on. How do I get rid of myself on this screen? Hold on. I can only see half of it now, which is annoying. I can't get rid of my own image on this screen.
That's okay. You can read it. You can read the quote. I'm going to read it.
All right.
You can see it.
Hold on.
You guys have heard the quote.
I'm just playing with.
While I read it.
I'm playing with.
So I'm sure you guys have heard
the
quote. If you tell a lie big enough and keep repeating it, people will eventually come to believe it. Okay. If you read Mein Kampf, Hitler wrote a lot about what he called the big lie. And for those who speak German in the audience, I'm about to butcher this. I wish my fellow were here. He speaks German. Die große Lüge. Anyway, the big lie. So here's a section of where he talks about the big lie. And this is from Adolf Hitler. In the big lie, there is always a certain force of credibility, because the broad masses of a nation are always more easily corrupted in the deeper strata of their emotional nature than consciously or voluntarily. Thus, in the primitive simplicity of their minds, they more readily fall victims to the big lie than the small lie, since they themselves often tell small lies in little matters, but would be ashamed to resort to large-scale falsehoods. It would never come into their heads to fabricate colossal untruths, and they would not believe that others could have the impudence to distort the truth so infamously. Even though the facts which prove this to be so may be brought clearly to their minds, they will still doubt and waver and will continue to think that there may be some other explanation. For the grossly impudent lie always leaves traces behind it, even after it has been nailed down, a fact which is known to all expert liars in this world and to all who conspire together in the art of lying. So I was about, as I said, not just Stalin, but Hitler, recently, what he had written about the big lie. I'm going to stop sharing this now.
Yep.
Okay. But I do believe he was right. There's something I read into that. I'm reading, he definitely had obviously an arrogance and a sort of a disgust with human beings, with the masses. You can read that in there. He views them all as stupid sheep. But I think he's absolutely right that humans as a group, okay, maybe different than individuals, but as a group are more likely to believe a big, obvious, giant lie. Something that's why I asked you about your gut. Something their gut tells them is there's something off here, right? But they're more likely to believe it than a small lie.
Because people can't conceive of trying to do something like that. It's just so outlandish.
Yeah, because the lie is so colossal, to use his word colossal. The lie is so big that the size of the lie itself means people are likely to believe it. And so that quote that we've heard, if you tell a lie big enough, people will believe it. Just repeat it often, people will believe it. That is my takeaway from this election.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always fascinated whenever anyone references or reads Hitler or Stalin or Mao to look back or Pol Pot, right? Some of the things that they said. Yeah. To look back and think, we seem to be obsessed with this, like Hitler is this person on the right and Mao is this person on the left, or Stalin is this person on the left. There's really very little difference at all between these people. There's really very little difference. And usually there's only one side, not always, but like it's usually pretty clear in modern society which group of people is on the side of authoritarians. Like, okay, who are the people whose words might get confused with things that Hitler or Stalin have said? It's not the people on the right in 2020. It's not. It's not Trump. I mean, Trump's words might get confused for, I don't know, something a construction worker might say, but he's not going to get confused with Stalin or Hitler. But what you hear from the mainstream media and from the leftist elites,
serious people.
Well, I mean, his words aren't going to be. I mean, you really have to make stuff up to do that, right? Or obviously misrepresent. But on the left, this is what you hear all the time. I mean, you remember you've referenced it a few times now. Samuel Say's essay where he begins with Hitler's treatise on, not treatise, but his support of social justice, right?
Yeah, Hitler. He wrote about and spoke about social justice.
Yeah. So, this is why it's hard for me to get, in the past, it's been hard for me to get excited about the Republicans or Democrats, because I've always viewed it as this is authoritarian versus libertarian type of spectrum.
Yeah.
The thing that's interesting about Trump is I think in losing, assuming he's lost, in losing Trump in the White House, I wouldn't say that we've lost a particularly I wouldn't say that he's a particularly lucid ally. I wouldn't say he's particularly erudite or learned about the enemy. I wouldn't say he's an ally who's particularly well spoken. But he is an ally who, in his gut, gets America on some level and wants to defend it. And he's been an ally. This is why, yeah, okay, it took him a while to get the CRT executive order, probably because he'd never heard about critical race theory. He had no idea. But, you know, someone explains it to him and he goes, well, that sounds bad. He gets it. And he tries to make sure taxpayer dollars aren't spent undermining the foundation of America. That makes him an ally on a level that I think neither party has put forward a candidate that was allied emotionally with the spirit of America. And I think in that sense, he is allied emotionally with the things that make America great, thus his slogan. Like, I think he speaks to something that's, I don't mean spiritual in the Christian sense. I just mean he speaks to the spirit of America in a way that resonates with a lot of people. And he doesn't necessarily speak well to it, but he gets it in many ways. And, you know, this is why the Republican Party hated him. Remember, they hated him. They've always hated him. They hated him in the primaries. They hated him. Remember the Never Trumpers and then the Lincoln Project. They've always hated him. So
the Republicans have always, Republicans have always hated
the establishment.
Trump, the Republican establishment, because he's not a Republican.
No.
At the end of the day, I mean, he ran as one, but Bernie ran as a Democrat, and Bernie's not a Democrat. I mean,
right. So it is sad. We are gonna lose, I think, one of the only, and I'll say a rough, crass spiritual ally, but an ally nonetheless.